So, and I remember almost to the day 6 years ago when you walked into our lives, right, back at EWM, and just watching the transformation from there, there you were working crazy by yourself to where you are now. I just want to take a few minutes and just unpack that. But like, what were your initial thoughts when you thought about joining the team?
I remember it was at the EWM yearly, beginning of the year meeting, and you were the guest, and you started talking about how you write your goals, how you think of your goals, how you talk about your goals. And that sparked my thoughts, and immediately I said, I have to meet with him, I have to collaborate. At this point, the Fannie Mae era had ended.
Right.
I had represented Fannie Mae listings for 4 years. It was a great experience. I developed great skills. I worked my life away, and I discovered amazing things about the business.
Yeah,
And by doing so, I realized how much I didn't know about the business.
Yeah, I think transitioning the idea of Fannie Mae and short sales and foreclosures sort of winding down when we met, and now you face with the idea of I have all of this skill set around that part of real estate, but I haven't spent a lot of time working in general real estate. I think that was probably one of the main reasons you decided to join.
Yeah, I was able to close many transactions. I think it was like an average of 54 per year, but the income was not so great because the price points were smaller.
Right.
And I said, well, if I can do this with these transactions, why can I not do the same with higher price point?
Yeah.
And I remember I came to you with a spreadsheet, and I said, what's wrong with this equation? And I remember what you said. You said, I'll teach you, but I'm not going to give you the fish. I'm going to teach you how to fish.
Well, and I think when you come away from where you were being fed listings, right? You didn't have to develop the skill set of going out and finding clients and building your book of business, which is a huge part of what we do as realtors, right? We don't just show houses, it's really developing relationships. And I think that is now become one of your superpowers, is building relationships. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I discovered, I had to learn a new skill, and the new skill was how to prospect. And it was hard at the beginning. It was tough to call my clients from many years back and start having the conversations. But amazing things happen when you conquer your fears and you get out of your comfort zone and you develop confidence. And one level of confidence takes you to another level, and it's very gratifying.
And it's so interesting to me to see there's some parallels between my career and your career, because I started my career as a family business, right? I started, my mother-in-law, Sandy, was first person to work with me, and not long after Kelly joined the team, and it was the three of us for a while. And now here you are, and you started out with, you first by yourself for so many years. And then, your oldest son, Carlos, is watching from behind the scenes a little, and now looking at where you've built this business with them, like, it must be so gratifying and rewarding in so many ways, seeing your boys become part of your business.
Yes, the end of the Fannie Mae era and Carlos wanting to partner with me in the business was the beginning of me joining the team, and I couldn't have done it without you.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the significant moments that sort of, there's always milestones as your career is growing, right? Like, what are some of the steps that you've taken in the last 5 or 6 years to get you where you are right now?
Initially, prospecting more, developing all those relationships, cultivating friendships, new relationships. That is a skill that little by little I felt very comfortable doing, and that is so important to do it parallel with your current transaction. Initially, Carlos joined, then Angel joined, and teaching them how to love and master the skills to make this business successful has been very gratifying, challenging, but very gratifying.
Yeah. And I think you find yourself wearing new hats now, right? You're a teacher and you're a leader, and you're not just selling all the time, right? You're really helping build this organization. And I think that's such a part of your growth. And one of the things that we always talk about in our business is the importance of confidence, and just starting to see you become confident in all of these new roles that you now have that you didn't have in your previous real estate space is really cool to watch.
It's very, very gratifying to teach.
Yeah.
because I see myself after so many years of being on my own and struggling and making mistakes, and then I see someone having the same struggle. So it's a good feeling to assist them and tell them, listen, do this to prevent that. And with the boys, with my two new agents, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's one of the things I see you light up, I think, when I see you sitting down and going through scenarios with them and talking about challenges that they may be having with their clients or the particular deals. I see that's when you really come alive, because you've now had so much experience that you can pass on to them.
Yeah, my life has changed with the growth of the team, having the collaboration from my sons, who are my pride and joy. Then Diana, now she's been with us for 3 years. And all of us, we feel like the team and the transaction, it's more important than each of us. So we work together, we work as a team, and now we have Jeff and Damaris. So now we're 5. It's great.
What does it look like now when you looking at you? If you could look at where you are now, like, what's different about now? Like, what's happening right now that is so different than 4 or 5 years ago?
Carving time for that prospecting, that was my biggest discovery, because in 17 years I had never done it.
Yeah, sure.
And beginning to do it and seeing the fruit was my first discovery. And then in order to do that, I had to carve time. So structure, systems, habits.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you more than anybody on the team have developed the best systems and structure of all of RSG right now, and it's been pretty cool to watch that.
And seeing you curious, that's what has kept me so inspired. Seeing how curious you are, how you try one thing and it doesn't work, and then you try something else and you perfect it, and it's the trial error that has kept me inspired. The way you read, the way you're constantly recommending books, Atomic Habits, Who Not How. 2 books that have changed my life, because in order to prospect at the same time that you are in the transaction, you need to carve time. How do you make time? You leverage, you get organized, you identify skills in people that will help the collaboration, that will help you grow. Discovering that, identifying skills in others that can do things better than yourself. Absolutely. It's the true definition of success and better results.
Yeah, I think, you said it right. Who Not How book can really open your eyes on how to scale and leverage and use the qualities that others have that are better than you at any particular task. And I think you've done that really well. Obviously, letting Diana take control of a lot of your life is not an easy thing to do, right? Realtors have a hard time letting go of control. But when you find somebody that fits the role and can do the role better than you, it's pretty cool when you empower them to do that role.
Yeah, letting go, delegating has been the biggest challenge of all. But once you do and things happen, and sometimes you discover that things happen better than when you hold on to them, it's an amazing feeling.
I think for you, it had to be an even bigger challenge than for a lot of people, because for so many years it was just you were responsible for everything. And now we were just talking off camera, and here you are going to Africa and going to Europe and going to all these places, gone weeks at a time, and the business is just running. I mean, talk about how proud you must be of that, because to me that's what is so cool about real estate, when we can get a team behind us and we get the right people helping us. So, and you're on that right path right now. So thinking back to pre-joining the Riley Smith Group, right, and the Anna Cuan that was hustling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, working with foreclosures and the challenges that all that brought, what skills or what mindset or what did you take away from that has helped you really start to build your business now in a different direction?
It was so hard, and the properties were distressed. There were multiple cases of squatters, evictions. It was so hard. There was so much work, and the compensation was so small. The only caveat was the volume.
Yeah.
At first, it was kind of scary to accept the assignment because it was a little dangerous for a woman to be in the middle of this adventure. But there was something inside of me that said, you won't know until you try it. You know, no one can tell you about this experience until you live it yourself. And from that adversity, seeing the fruit. And what was the fruit? The skills, the mindset. And then it was an era that ended, but it ended on a high note. And adversity makes you courageous and powerful. Yeah. So yes, I had acquired skills, and that made me discover the other skills that I didn't have. But I think that optimism, and if I was able to conquer this hard times, prospecting and promoting beautiful properties, how hard could it be?
Well, I think what I noticed when you came into our part of the real estate world was that you possessed an ability to be, you were much more organized and much more structured because of what you were doing before than most realtors are, right? Most realtors come into our space and they embrace the non-structured aspect of it, right? They like not having a structure, where I think you had to build this system and the structure to even get throughout the day and to handle that many deals. I mean, very few agents do 50, 60 deals by themselves in a year. I think that was probably one of the superpowers that you developed then, and that now you've taken that to such an even new level with your team now.
Yeah, it helps to be organized. It helps to manage our most valuable asset, time, when you're organized, and when you can teach others to be organized.
There you go. So we were talking a little bit earlier. Let's talk a little bit about what gets you excited in real estate today. What challenges do you like overcoming? What really gets you up in the morning? What gets you going?
Well, I've developed some really good habits. I exercise in the morning, and that gets my adrenaline going. And typically, all transactions are challenging. So figuring out the angle to conquer the transaction gets me really excited. And sometimes it makes you look like a superhero in the eyes of our clients, and that is gratifying. And at the end of the day, we are helping them. We are adding value to their life by conquering obstacles that without us they cannot do.
Which is really a fun part of this business.
It's so
very
much fun.
rewarding, right?
It's so much fun.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about the team. Where do you see the team going in the future from here?
What excites me the most about the future is the growth, the discovery, the constant figuring out that we can do things better, even if the path is a little longer sometimes, but just the discovery. This is a very fun business.
Yeah.
And you know why it's fun, right? The people factor.
Of course.
It's 95% people. Yeah. So by forcing you to conquer challenges, forces you to figure out people. And to me, that's what's most exciting.
Well, I think that's where our real value lies, is helping people sometimes, and through all kinds of emotions of home buying and home selling, or investment opportunities and things, and the stress of the deal and all that, right? And
figuring out the story.
Yeah.
Everyone has a story.
Everyone has a story. So one of the things I noticed about you when you were building your career was you very purposely started trying to connect with people. And I think that was a big changing point for you. And we were just talking about it a while ago, where there wasn't a day that you didn't have a coffee with somebody, a lunch with somebody, a drink with somebody, sometimes all three in the same day. And I think that was one of the big stepping stones to your sort of rising career. Talk a little bit about that kind of aha moment that you had about that.
That process was really interesting because it started out of a necessity, like out of a challenge. Because sometimes you know that you need to connect with your past clients, your potential clients, and you have a goal. Like you're going into that meeting with a goal. I'm going to get a listing. I'm going to get, information about what they want to buy. You have like a business agenda. And then to my surprise, the more I did it, the more the encounters surprised me that it was all about the connection. We connected about something else. There was like a common interest, a random conversation that had nothing to do about real estate, and but there was a connection. And at the end of the day, that person, maybe not that day, but in the future, became your client or trusted you with something real estate related. So that change of mindset, just go and meet and talk and connect, from being like a challenging, uncomfortable thing, became like a very pleasurable process. And now it's fun. Now work is fun.
You enjoy it more and more. And I think for any realtors that are out there watching that, like, yes, it was hard. I remember watching you anguished over going and talking to people and asking for business and learning how to do that. And but then you just kept going and kept doing it, and your confidence grew and how to have the conversations, and you were less worried about the outcome of the conversation and just more excited about the possibility of the connection. And now, I know you have utmost confidence sitting down talking with anybody about anything in the real estate space, and moving even into commercial and other things that you maybe aren't as confident yet, but you still seem comfortable in that space now. And that's pretty cool. And I think that's how you grow your business. And if anybody asked me, how did Anna grow her business? I would say it came out of all those meetings. It came out of this new business you have today, came out of countless, sit downs with people.
And what's fascinating is, by growing your business, by developing so many good relationships, you grow as a human being, because those connections make you more human, make you more understanding, empathetic. And I love it. It's fun. It's not work.
So if you could give advice to any realtors that are watching, that are starting the business now, what advice would you give?
Develop that book of business. It doesn't matter how big, how small it is, the group of people that you know. It's a good practice for real estate. It's a good practice for life. Okay. Life is better with others when you share things with others. Okay, so now I'll ask you.
Okay.
You're on the phone all the time. Mm-hmm. You have clients, friends, agents calling you all the time. If you had to pick 3 topics that people call you and talk to you about, what are those?
It's pretty easy. I mean, I think it's very vague in general, but how is the market is a question I get 15 times a day, just from in my routine and being out and about. And I think that question always leads to a lot of other conversations, because the market is different for everybody else. But I think, the general public is always wondering, we think about the market all the time, we're in the market all the time, but the general public doesn't think about buying and selling very often, maybe every 5-7 years. So, when they start asking these very general questions, I like getting to know that, where it's coming from and what context it's in. But that's a question I answer 10, 15 times a day. From the agents, what can I do to improve constantly is what I hear from agents on our team. And I said we spend a lot of time trying to coach them to, be more in touch with their database, put more people in their database, get out in the community more. The more you give, the more you receive, and from this business. So I think, what do I do next, or what can I do now from a newer agent, is a lot of the questions that I field. And then I think from the people that have been doing this a long time, I relish in the higher level conversations that you and I get to have about strategy around growth, and talk a lot about, what's next for you, right? Building your team now. You have an admin and you have buyers agents, and so those are some of the questions that I get. I love that question the most, is sort of, how do I go from here to there in my real estate career? I think that's probably what I'm most passionate about. So there's the general public, there's the agents, on our team, and then other agents just out and about. But generally, most people, wherever you are, or whatever walk of life you are, whatever business you're in, they are always curious as to where the market is, and my opinion on where the market's going. And I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a magic answer. So.
Well, Miami better than most.
I've been here my whole life, right? I've seen it a lot. I've been doing this almost 25 years, so I've certainly seen all the cycles. And the one thing I know about the history of Miami real estate is it rarely goes down. And I found out a really interesting stat today that in the last 12 months, Miami's gone up more than any other city in price in the United States, up 10%. Pretty crazy.
That's the definition of demand.